Put your hands together for the one, the only, our president of the United States of America until recently, where she did a very nice, peaceful transfer of power to Joe Biden and President Biden. Ladies and gentlemen, Megan Rapinoe, everybody!
What's good?
What's happening, guys? How are a peaceful transfer of power? I'm good. I sure did. I did.
Yeah. You were like, all right, now I will show up to the White House. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm back.
I cannot believe I'm saying these words. Megan Rapinoe is on our show. Thank you so much for joining us. We're absolutely honored. There are a billion questions we want to ask you. We don't even know exactly where to begin. My curiosity right there, Alexa just mentioned going to the White House. You and Midge Purse were there. Can we talk a little bit about that experience? Because it looked pretty cool, especially in slow-mo.
I know we got to be in the, now infamous walking hall, pictures that it seems like that's the only pictures that the White House are releasing these days is the VP and POTUS walking around. It was so cool to be honest. I mean, it's just like, obviously, the administration before was not cool to go to the White House, but just in general, I mean, it's, a very historic place. And for Midge and I to be able to go and just know that we had like the full support of the presidency of the United States of America behind what we were saying is ridiculous. It's just like, we're like looking back, we're like, right, Joe? And he's like, yeah, you're right.
Facts,
exactly.
B. Yeah, he just,
Yeah.
You might want to co-sign some of this real quick, Joey.
Yeah. Give me a mm-hmm. So, I mean, like in all of the fun sort of joking, just us kid in the candy store ways, it was amazing. And then obviously able to bring, equal pay and what we've been talking about for a while to that huge platform, for someone like me to be welcomed to the White House, for someone like Midge to be welcomed into the White House like that and supported in this platform was just incredible for the both of us and obviously for the larger fight in equal pay.
And let's talk a little bit about the fight for equal pay because, you guys have been very vocal. You in particular sort of took this. I don't know that you would consider yourself in this way sort of a leader, but I think a lot of us as fans sort of looked to you and said, okay, let's see where does Megan think it's at now? And a ruling had just come across that it was denied, but an offer was made and you guys have denied that. Where does that sit now? Where does the fight go to next?
We're kind of in the same process. So we settled a few of the, basically the non-compensation sort of lifestyle claims that were left in the previous ruling from the court in California. So those have been settled. We had to settle those before we moved on to appealing, sort of the whole crux of the lawsuit, which is the compensation, gender discrimination compensation claim. So those other claims are done now. And now I think we're right about to start the appeals process. As always, and as we've always said, our ears are always open for settlement talks. I think ideally we wouldn't have had to file the lawsuit, but ideally now, a year and a half, 2 years later, we should be able to get to a place. I mean, I'm hoping that there is a sort of change, a paradigm shift really in US Soccer and in the board at US Soccer, because I think everyone just realizing that, like, we're just dragging this thing out. It's like there's no winners in this right now. Everybody's spending all kinds of time and energy and money. We're coming up to another world championship where our faces are going to be everywhere. And, it would be great if we could go forward, with the federation. The federation can start to get on board and be a leader in the world in this. So always, this is the only team we can play for. We're the only players that they can have. So we sort of have to exist in this. So I'm always, willing to listen, to settlement talks, but it needs to be something real, and it needs, likely it needs to hurt a little bit for US Soccer. I think that's kind of when we're getting close to something that's meaningful for the players, not just from a back pay standpoint, but actually setting the game up and really changing the entire landscape of the future of not just women's soccer, but soccer in general moving forward in this country.
Yeah, and I think there is, if you mentioned like a paradigm shift, but I think the paradigm shift is also being affected in just how women in general discuss, equal pay in every field. I mean, people look to you as a leader in soccer, in women's soccer, but just for human beings in general, and your pink hair, your purple hair is like part of the equality. It is that.
No pressure, huh?
No, now I got to keep it.
People do look to you to that degree. And there's also that, like, I don't know what your political aspirations are. We introduced you as the president of the United States, so clearly expectations are being placed. But what does that is that an active decision to be an athlete and also take on that pressure of really trying to change the world?
Well, I was just a one-term president, so I could always go back. I got another term under my belt.
Qualify for one more,
in my back pocket. I got that term. I'll get in there, probably change it to more terms. You know how it is. I mean, I think for me, honestly, and I think for a lot of people on the team, and I'll just, extend that further, even obviously, my fiance Sue being in the WNBA and being, close to that, it kind of comes as a necessity for us. Like, ultimately, it is a choice. You choose whether you're going to speak up about something or not. But, so often I think female athletes and athletes in general get in this place where it's like, we're the ones that are perfectly situated to, have the most impact or at least talk about these things. And I know for us on the women's national team, it did start as, okay, we feel like, we were discriminated against and our contracts were not fair. And so we filed this lawsuit. But it turned into something so much bigger. I mean, we're speaking, I feel like, on behalf of so many other women in not just in sports and around the world, but just other industries as well, that don't have the ability to, hop on the world famous Cooligans. Like, people don't have this ability. They can't talk to the New York Times. They can't go on, Meet the Press or whatever. I
love that we're all in the same breath of those.
They put us on the same list.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you did.
Yeah, exactly. New York Times, Cooligans, everyone knows what it is. But, we sort of, we kind of realized like, okay, this is actually so much bigger than us. And I think for myself personally, I mean, I just have the core belief that everybody has a responsibility to make the world a better place in whatever way you can be most effective in doing that. So clearly, I'm really lucky to have this platform that, so many other people have helped build over the years that, now I get to stand on and, hold the microphone. And so I just feel like there is change to be made. Like I'm seeing the world change around me in so many different ways. And, having all of these athletes have a huge impact on that, I think is inspiring. And ultimately it's like, what are we here to do? Like, yeah, okay, we're going to play sports. Like I'm going to, play until I'm however old. It's like, and then what? Like if your legacy is just only on the field, I don't know. To me, I feel like it's a wasted opportunity. So I guess in the end, it is a choice, but I feel like it's a really easy choice and something that, kind of comes out of necessity, but also it's like, we're getting to see the world change around us. And we're a part of that with other female athletes and other activists in sort of other areas. And I don't know, to me, I don't see it as any kind of burden. It's really an honor, to be honest.
I'm Ashlyn Harris.
And I'm Allie Krieger.
And we're getting
Gully with the Cooligans.
Yes.
You said what's next. I mean, are we possibly talking to future Congressperson Megan Rapinoe, future representative, state representative Megan Rapinoe?
Oh, that feels like awful, to be honest. I think
Can you just find a way to take Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat? Could we get?
Yeah, goodness. Yeah, I'd have to live in Florida. Ash and Allie need to take that mantle because they're the ones living down in Florida. Honestly, I feel like so much of our politics has just become this like popularity test. I mean, you're seeing in the recall of the governor in California, Caitlyn Jenner has thrown her name in there. And it's like, you know what? You are an exceptional athlete. You're not an exceptional politician. Like, I think that about myself. People always ask, like, it takes a ton of skill and like institutional knowledge. And like those people are like talented politicians. Like, I think people need to think of it that way. Like they actually have like a talent for doing the politicking. And like, I love talking about politics from my perspective and from my lane. But I honestly think that it's become, too much of a popularity where it's just like, yeah, I probably could be a representative of some kind or, win a district here or there. But like, am I really the best person to be doing that? Maybe I can just talk about the person who is actually the best person to be doing that. So unless it's the president, and then I'll probably just do it. That's probably just
nice. You can get like a real politician as the vice president, make him do all the work. You take all the photos.
Exactly. I'm like,
that's
get
how
out of
Cooligans
here.
works. Christian does everything. Just stand here and smile.
I'll be the face of this project. Okay.
Exactly.
You mentioned we mentioned legacies as well, and I want to mention this because this was such a as far as what we try to give back to the game is like as stand-up comics, we want to add some levity to the game and add some jokes and stuff like that. And one thing I love is that when we're doing stand-up, it's really difficult to do jokes about soccer most of the time because people either don't know the game, they don't know who we're talking about. It's really challenging. But I do a joke about you, and everybody gets it, and it's such a great feeling because the I ain't going to the White House, right? That was such a popular thing that literally broke. It transcended every genre of anything because people knew what we were talking about. But that moment, what was amazing about it is obviously you had to deal with negativity from Trump and the tweet. The joke I do is essentially about how Trump tweeted. He thought he was tweeting at you, but he tweeted at just some other girl that was named Megan Rapinoe, right? Yeah. So, but the fact that it was about, I only respect winners and blah, blah, blah. And then you backed it all up. That feeling was just like, yes, there's nothing anyone can say. But that being known for that, because a lot of people do know you for that. What was that? There were so many more people aware of who you were and what your mission was because of that moment. What did that feel like?
Yeah, I mean, in the moment, it was so wild. I mean, let's not get twisted. I am petty. So being able to like be the highest level of petty and like win the game and score the goals and like ultimately win the World Cup and then just be able to sit back like, oh, this is. Do you want to revisit that? Yeah. Should we bring it back?
Did you say something about winners? Because I got this thing in my hand.
Are you talking about me? Oh, okay. So there was a petty Betty that was very happy with the whole situation. And then I think honestly, like even in the moment, it all just totally made sense. It was like, look at the person who he's attacking. Like you're attacking a woman, you're attacking a gay woman, you're attacking a woman, who's got pink hair and who talks about, equality just generally and who like genuinely cares about equality. And it's just like, it was all just so ridiculous in the moment. Like you saw him totally unravel right before our very eyes, especially to women who don't back down. I mean, this is obviously totally his MO, but it just felt like I was everyone in that moment. And like, everyone was just kind of like, no, we don't have to like take this. Like we're bigger than this. We're better than this. We can choose a different path. So it never felt like Trump was just attacking me. It just felt like it was an attack on, on women, on gays, on sports, on, anyone that speaks truth to power. So yeah, it was empowering in a lot of ways. And I think, the team totally took it in stride, and it wasn't like this, like, oh my God, the president is tweeting us like during the biggest game of our lives. It's insane. But like, it was kind of jokes because it was just so ridiculous. Like, it was like, he was just trying to like take me down in this way. But because everyone knows me, they're like, what? Like, first of all, they're probably going to win. So this is going to be awkward in about, 2 hours. And yeah, just kind of like fired us up and was wild. And honestly, it totally backfired because it made me so much more popular than I probably ever would have been. So I was like, oh, let me just thanks. Take that little booster, put that backpack on, and we're still flying. Here we are.
The one of my favorite moments was getting a chance to speak with you on stage in front of what I remember is like 15,000. It was probably closer to 3,500, but it was just a sea of kids screaming your name.
50,000 kids, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all the kids in North Carolina showed up. It was a lot.
Yeah.
But no one cared who Christian and I were. They were all, Megan, the whole time. We're trying to tell jokes and stuff. And we're like, we get it. She'll be here in 5 minutes. Can everyone relax? In that moment, though, the day before, there was a little girl who came up to us. And I don't know if anyone shared this story with you, and was so excited, had given us something to give you that day. And we said, why don't you just come back tomorrow? And she said, my dad won't let me because it's Megan Rapinoe. So, and this, I mean, how old was this girl? Maybe 8, 9, 10 years old?
A little girl, yeah.
Hearing that, I mean, one, it goes to show just how far your message got. But doesn't that also give you the idea that there is so much more still to do?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Like that kind of just like, breaks my heart for that little kid that, I feel like little kids just see things like through this really beautiful lens. So probably what they were seeing was just like, someone who had some wild hair, who, had a certain presence on the field, who was scoring goals is probably what that little girl wanted to see, and then to think that, her dad was, I don't know, not with it or whatever, for whatever reason, when really all I'm trying to do is, and the team is to set up, a situation where that little girl can come in and do, 10 times what we've done. But I think too, it does say a lot, like, and I think this is, part of what I've, realized and try to always continue to keep in my mind is that, like, when I talk, like, a lot of people listen, whether they like it or not. And so kind of balancing that responsibility with, always trying to continue to speak truth to power. But I really try to do it in a way that doesn't alienate a lot of people. I don't think it's useful to just be like, oh, all of, everybody who voted for Trump is a horrible person and everybody who didn't. It's like, well, that just leaves us in the exact same spot that we are, or, turns people off of women's sports, honestly, right from the jump. So that's kind of like, that's really sad and heartbreaking for that little girl. But I think also we are breaking through because she is watching the World Cup and she is seeing the team play. And whether it's me talking or Ashton Alley talking or Crystal or whoever it is, like, you're going to hear that unified message. And she's going to hear that message if she watches other sports, if she watches the WNBA, if she's turning an NBA game on. Like, I think athletes using their voice now is just so much more powerful. And I think when we're all sort of doing it together and saying the same things, I think you can start to break through. I would love to talk to that dad and just, really honestly ask, like, what about me, minus the F-bombs that sometimes just slip out of nowhere?
Nobody can control those.
Nobody can control that. I mean, I don't know when they're coming or where they're coming from. Yeah, but like, what is it about me or that, whatever I'm saying that you don't want your daughter to hear, and which way am I saying it that is unacceptable for your daughter to hear, that you don't want your daughter to meet you? I would love to hear that. And how do we break through that? And how maybe do I better explain my message? Or, how do I sort of get across to that father that ultimately we're both trying to do the same thing, provide your daughter the most, amazing childhood and opportunity that she has to be successful in the world.
Okay. I'm glad you want that, because Christian and I were like, yo, Dad, you're trash.
It's a much a nicer response. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out ways that I could fight this dad. I don't know.
How can I drag your body to the park?
Hi, I'm Michelle Akers, and guess what I did today? I hung out with the Cooligans.
We've been doing this show for a couple of years, and as we've been privileged enough to meet players like you, so many who are really, again, like really trying to change the world. And there's a certain sense of like, I find myself defending you, right? We're not close friends, right? But I feel like part of the fight is to be like, all right, well, this is her perspective. This is where she's coming from. And it's just such a wild thing, especially after we meet players. there is a certain, now they're like, okay, now this is my blood sister. Okay, now we have to, I will die for this woman. I don't know what to tell.
You catch these hands if you say something wild.
Exactly. Just know that.
Yeah, Megan Rapinoe ain't here, but we are. And we're kind of part of the Rapinoe family now. So
I want to talk a little bit about, let's talk about soccer as well, because you are in obviously NWSL. The Challenge Cup is coming up real soon. The final, the Reign unfortunately are not there, but you also did not get to play every game. It's a whole other thing. We'll sort that out later. But I do want to talk about the Reign this year. I mean, I know just recently, I mean, obviously a big change in Ali Long leaving and going to Gotham FC. But the Reign, have always been a solid squad. What is the expectations for 2021?
I mean, I think really and truly the expectations are a championship. I mean, they always are, but I think this year we're actually have a realistic chance of getting there, and that has to be the standard. We're still waiting on a few players rolling in late from Europe, and obviously we've had international players come in. The national team players came in late. We got a few of the Challenge Cup games under our belt, but just trying to get everyone healthy and in the same place. So we've had a little bit of a kind of up and down and consistent preseason, but I don't think anyone's too stressed about that. We have a lot of time to get ourselves right. And obviously the season goes, well into October and November this year. But I think with, the players that are supposed to be coming, to bolster the squad, I think we have a really good chance. Obviously we've, our noisy neighbors to the south, they also beefed up their team. Obviously they have a lot of good players, and around the league the quality of the league is there, and it's super competitive. So that's always our hope. I mean, that's the whole point of anything, is to win, and to continue to be a successful franchise. So that's kind of what our eyes are on. And we've been sort of up and down, and I've had a couple just little injuries that I've been nursing, so it's been a little frustrating for me personally. I felt like I had a really good start to the year, and then just had a couple speed bumps that I wish weren't there. But, ultimately using this opportunity to get ready for the Olympics, and then come back and, have a pretty long season to focus on after that.
Well, and obviously, I don't know where you find the time for all this, but you also have a brand that you've started with, along with Kristen Press and Tobin Heath. That's right, called Re-Ink. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that, and why can I not find any double XLs? Everyone's buying the double XLs. What's it like? Val Paschal, one of our Gully Squad members, says, how does Re-Ink decision making work with all of you guys in that room together?
Well, Kristen is the boss, of course, and we all know that. So that's really how the decisions get made. No, I mean, we really started. I mean, I think going back to talking about female athletes and just athletes in general, we kind of started the company feeling like the world really wasn't made for us. And so we really don't fit into it in our whole selves. And I think that's something that I've realized definitely over the last couple of years, is to try to squeeze myself into this idea of what a female soccer player is, or even a very successful soccer player. It's just too small. So we wanted to just do something different. We wanted to explore kind of our whole selves, and we just had kind of an inkling that there was a lot of other people that felt that way also. I'll put in the note about the double XLs. Let's get more of those coming your way. But it was just an opportunity for us to express ourselves creatively and try to tap in, I think, to this feeling that we had all along, and that we generally have, and see who else feels that way.
This has been an absolute honor. I want to get to plugs very quickly. I have one quick question. Maybe you can answer it very quickly. This is from one of our Gully Squad members, is our supporters group. Had a great question. It is from Gabe Lajas. He had asked, over the last 2 World Cups, which match were you most worried about before it started? I'm sure it was very minimal, but maybe there was some concern.
Oh, man. 2015, I mean, probably the final, just because Japan is so difficult to play against. Obviously, I had the experience of losing to them in the dying moments of 2011, and just knowing you basically just chase the ball around for forever and then hope you get like, you know, a few counterattacks where you can, or Carly's like scoring goals from half field. That's always stressful playing them. This one, I mean, the match against France was just huge. Obviously they're an incredible team. You're playing, you know, in France, iconic stadium, the whole thing. And you just know how much it's just like palpable how much it meant, not only to the players, but to the fans as well. So, and, you know, if you lose, it's like you lose in the quarterfinals. Like that's like trash. So you don't want to do that. That would be like a terrible ending, even though that game should have probably been later on in the schedule. For the FIFA puppets, they need to, you know, do the schedule a little bit better. But I mean, honestly, our last, you know, the game against France and then the game against England where I couldn't play. I mean, my anxiety was through the roof against England. Like it's so difficult to sit on the bench and just not have any outlet for your stress at all. And there's penalties and all these things. So I think the France game was probably the most nerve-wracking going into it.
Yeah.
Was
I mean,
for us too.
it felt like a final. It was it was incredible. Okay, Megan, I mean, you are welcome back on this show absolutely anytime. We have a billion other questions that we couldn't even really get to, but thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything you want to let people know about before we sign off?
I would just say heading into the season, like get on your Paramount Plus subscription, check out when the CBS games are on, you know, get a season ticket, whether you're in the city or not. If you have the means to do so, you know, sharing all the information, just like don't just say like all women's sports isn't popular. This like be a part of it, get into it. I'll say that about other women's sports as well. WNBA is just about to start, so got to plug the future wifey on that one. But just watch games, get into it. You know, talk shit on social media, like just have fun with it and support everyone because it's really we're doing amazing things, not just on the field in the NWSL, but Black Women's Player Collective is doing incredible things off the field, really being the leaders for all of us players and for the league as we, you know, really start to use our platform in the NWSL for social justice. So shout out to the Black Women's Player Collective.
Okay. Well put. Yes. Look, absolutely. We're trying to do our work as well, inviting every NWSL player we could possibly have on this show. It's been an absolute delight. Okay. Okay. A couple other pieces of business. Megan Rapinoe, honored to have you be able to participate in this. We are doing it is becoming a tradition, our Golazo GIF. We will make a GIF of any celebration you want to do on this show. You know, what scenario could we give you that you have not already been a part of? There is no higher pressure.
For some reason, the court has said if you score in this match, then equal pay will be given. And you happen to, in the 90th minute, score a curler from out of nowhere. What is your celebration?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm tempted, you know, to throw up the money Manziel, but that just seems very loaded. I don't know if I can do that. Oh my gosh. You know, one of our players, Jess Fishlock's little nephew, had this dance. I didn't score in the game that I found out about it, but he does this like, it's almost like, what's that dance called? The gritty? Is that what it's called? Where you like kind of like shuffle your feet? Who's doing like
that one?
It's like this NFL guy does it. You know what I'm talking about? But he like does it with his hands, and he's like, ooh, 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 ooh.
Yeah, the Vikings wide receiver.
Yeah, there you go. So this is a hand version of that.
Okay, all right. I mean, look, next goal you score, I would love to see this. We have this one. It would be nice to do that.
Yeah,
I couldn't get it in the frame, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so much, Megan Rapinoe, for joining us. Absolutely honored. Everybody, make sure you follow us at Soccer Cooligans on all social platforms. Follow at Fubo Sports on all socials as well, and subscribe to the Fubo Sports YouTube channel for full episodes of the show. Happy Mother's Day as well. Again, this has been
Ashlyn.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait, I love it. Oh, that was a good celebration too.
Morgan. That's right.
When you did that one. All right, cool. All right. So let us end the show the way we normally do, as is tradition. So Megan Rapinoe, please join in with us in this. So for Megan Rapinoe, my name is Christian Polanco.
I'm Alexis Guerreros.
And together, what are we?
The Cool!